Hello, I am teacher and author Shon and today is my special This and That Short Inspiration. And today I'm going to be talking about something, it's a hot topic regarding how do you deal with being misunderstood. You know, when you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to help people out and they, in some, cases, tend to, falsely accuse you of things that are not true about you. And I can understand what that's like. And so God wants me to share with you how to heal from that through His Word and through His power, because there's two sides to being misunderstood. Some people, innocently just misunderstand you. And then other people, they're ill towards you and they just want to misunderstand you. They don't want to try to understand. And it's like they despise you even when you're trying to explain. And so I'm going to talk about that. And, being misunderstood is someone reading you the wrong way or misinterpreting something about you or, something concerning you. And so one common reason that people tend to misunderstand people is when, you're a generous person and you're trying to help someone, whether it's financial or, giving them food or, be a support system to them, as a friend. When you stop making yourself available to them because you feel like they're taking advantage of you, some people tend to think that, you just trying to be ill towards them. And see, that's like misunderstanding people. Sometimes you have to be led by God to help people and when to stop, so that you're not being taken advantage of. And when you express that to someone in a positive way and they still, want to have an attitude towards you, it's like you're being misunderstood, And then another example is, when you're in a conversation with someone, how when you talk to people, sometimes you may not agree. Well, sometimes people don't know how to agree to disagree. And sometimes when you share your opinion, your tone is right, sometimes people try to accuse you of disrespecting them. And that's not true. It's like, okay, you may be trying to explain, no, I'm not trying to disrespect you. I just want to share my opinion, about what you're talking about. And some people, because of their heart and because of their thinking, they'll try to accuse you of that. And so, be aware of that. And then another reason, is, people try to misunderstand you is when you try to share good news to someone that you think will enjoy the news with you about something God did for you. And, you might be saying, God, bless me with this and that. And, some people will take that as you bragging on yourself. It's silly for people to think like that, but some people think like that. And so if you're going through that, let me tell you, God understands. And, there's reasons to why. And you don't need to take it personal, but you need to be, encouraged that God is with you. He understands you. And it's not your problem. It's their problem. And you keep, doing the right thing. And you keep being well for God. And so I'm going to go to the Bible in Psalms 111th chapter. And I'm going to read from the 10th verse. And this talks about wisdom from God. It's important for people to give their life to God because that'll help their mind and their heart and their soul to be able to understand people and life, and most importantly, God. And when people don't have God, that's part of the reasons why some people, are hard to, it's hard for them to understand people. And so when you lack wisdom, which is supernatural intelligence and good judgment from God, that's part of the problem. And so the 10th verse of Psalms 111 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do His commandments. His praise endureth forever." And so a good understanding is having wisdom from God. And wisdom is supernatural intelligence, the ability to make good judgment, the ability to discern what's good and what's evil, the ability to have knowledge of understanding things even from personal experiences. It's the ability to be, understanding and compassionate toward things. And so some people lack wisdom. And so that's one reason why some people just, they don't get it, you know, they just misunderstand things concerning people. And so that's one reason. Another reason is people have different cultures and backgrounds. You know, if you're from a different race, if you're, you know, African American, Caucasian, Spanish, you know, Asian, whatever culture you are, you know, all cultures were made by God, you know, and as far as the races, you know, and God doesn't want us to be prejudiced. We don't have to agree with everything from different cultures, but we're supposed to walk in love with everyone, and we're supposed to be at peace as much as we can through the love of God, from our heart, from God. And so, you know, some people, they don't understand, you know, the language of another, you know, race. And so that's more of an innocent misunderstanding, you know, and so you just have to pray and ask God to help you, because, you know, personally, you know, God blessed me when I was younger, you know, to have friends of different races. And it's good to be versatile and to be able to get along with all races, because that's the love of God. Again, you don't have to agree with, you know, different things in races as far as their lifestyle, if it's against God. But you're supposed to be in the love of God as far as how you treat people right for everyone. And so another common reason is some people just got different styles of communicating. You know, some people, you know, make certain facial expressions, you know, of how they communicate. And you have to know that person and know their heart to know if they're trying to communicate, you know, good to you, or if they're just trying to be negative, you know. So you have to keep that in mind. And, you know, some people, you know, they might be in pain or something, and you might be talking to them and they might have a certain facial expression. Find out what's going on with somebody before you accuse them of, you know, just, you know, looking mean at you or something like that. You know, just find out what's going on with them, because that can be, you know, misconstrued or misunderstood as, you know, you trying to be mean to somebody, and that's not true. You know, you just may be, you know, dealing with a toothache or something. And so you have to know that person, you know, in certain cases, to know what's going on. And, you know, some people just, you know, I said this earlier, they have a simple mind, you know. I believe I mentioned that earlier, you know, having a simple mind. Being simple-minded is just kind of being ignorant, really not knowing, not being taught about certain things. And so you're not, a person is not intentionally, you know, trying to be simple-minded. They're just like naive. They really don't know or understand like a person that's full of God's wisdom. And so you got to give them some mercy and grace and explain things to them, you know, whatever the situation is, so that, you know, you can keep peace with that person or group of people. And then, you know, one of the sad reasons for misunderstandings is people, some people, they just got a wicked heart. Just some people, you know, they just want to be ill towards you. They just have a despising heart. And so I'm going to go to the scriptures that talks about that. Despising is a dislike for someone for no reason. And just, you know, just being judgmental towards them. And that's not of God. And you have to know if a person is like that, so you won't take it personal. And, you know, you can keep, you know, yourself being healed from being hurt, you know. And so Proverbs, the 3rd chapter, and I'm going to read from the 30th verse. It says, strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm, you know. And then it says, the 31st verse, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. And then it says, but the forward is an abomination to the Lord, but his secret is with the righteous. You know, in other words, these scriptures are saying, you know, don't be mad at nobody, you know, or, you know, have an attitude with somebody without cause, you know. And a person that has envy in their heart, God is like, don't choose none of their ways, because that's what the problem is for some people, is why they don't want to understand you. They just want to think negative of you no matter what you do for them or who you are. and so God wants you to be encouraged by that. You have to be aware of that, so you know that it's not you personally, but it's that person. And so if you can also go to Proverbs the 14th chapter. In Proverbs the 14th chapter, I'm going to read, starting at the 2nd verse. It says, "He that walketh in his uprightness feareth the Lord, but he that is perverse in his ways despiseth him." In other words, God is saying, when you walking upright and you trying to do the right thing, people that got a wicked heart, they despise you. You can be just as nice as pie, and if they wicked in their heart, the Lord is saying they're going to despise you, because it's like you showing them, where they're not. And so don't allow yourself to be, worried or concerned about people when they kind of come off at you like negatively, which is your enemy. No matter who it is, if they're treating you like that, they're an enemy towards you, and you have to pray for them, because the Bible tells us to pray for our enemies. But you have to guard yourself from that and be aware in your mind, okay, this person's heart is not right, they need help. And so they choose to misunderstand you, they choose to be evil because their heart is wicked. And so just be aware of that. And so, that's how you can heal if that's been a struggle for you. And then if you can also go to, in the same chapter, the 8th verse, it says, "The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way." And the prudent is a wise person, a person that wants to be right. And it says, "But the folly of fools is deceit." A person that wants to be in foolishness, that wants to be wicked, they're deceived. And so that's why they don't want to understand or be understanding to a person that's of God, that's right. And then if you can go to the 12th verse of this chapter, it says, "There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death." So some people think they on the right track, and these are typically people that are not living for God, that are wicked in heart. But God is saying, in their mind, they think they doing what's right, but the end is death, spiritually and then physically eventually, if they don't keep their heart right with God. Because when you don't live for God, you put yourself in a position to shorten your life, because the protection of God is not there. And, some people, end up in circumstances where their life is shortened, but it was their choice. And so people have to be aware of that. And then the 12th verse of this same chapter, it says, that's what I just read. Let me go to the 21st verse. And it says, "He that despiseth his neighbor sinneth, but he that hath mercy on the poor, happy is he." In other words, whoever is your brother or sister, whoever is around you, family, friends, co-workers, a church member, God says if you just despise them, you just, have an attitude with them for no reason, God is saying that, you're sinning against yourself and against God, and that's dangerous. But God is saying when you have a merciful heart, not only just to the poor, but just toward people, you're happy. You keep your joy. That's healing. That's encouragement. That's inspiration to your soul. Supernatural food. And so go to the 29th verse in this chapter as well. It says, "He that is slow to wrath is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly." In other words, when a person is slow to anger, they have great understanding. But when people are wicked, most of, I would say sometimes people that are wicked struggle with anger. And so that's another reason why, people come up, they come off the wrong way, because there is an anger problem there. And so the Lord is making us aware of that, so we won't take things personal. And so if you can also go to Matthew the 18th chapter, and in Matthew the 18th chapter, it talks about how you can resolve things to the best of your ability if you're struggling, with people not trying to keep peace with you. And the 15th verse says, "Moreover, if thy brother or sister shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word is established." And if he neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen and a publican. In other words, if you have to personally go make things right or try to be peaceful with someone and they reject you even after you've gotten witnesses and people of God involved, God is saying you move forward. You've done the best that you can. You keep it moving and God will work it out for you. And you don't have to worry or concern yourself about that person. And so, last but not least, Hebrews the 4th chapter and the 14th verse. Now, if nobody understands you, which God would always give you someone that does, but if you ever feel like no one understands you, Jesus understands you. So Hebrews the 4th chapter and the 14th verse says, seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our profession, for we have not a high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted, like as we are, yet without sin. Let us therefore come boldly unto the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. So God is there to help us and to understand us.